So the work that I had done then was noticed by a British aviation company that had leased aircrafts to Sahara, the Boeing 737s, etc. So it was basically an aviation company, and they called me. They're based out of London. And they called me the challenge that, Bobby, here's a project where we have to do a private jet airport in the Caribbean. The deal was that you would get the project, but there's no signing up right now. It's a competition. You design, you present it to the Prime Minister and the cabinet there. If you are able to convince them, then you get the project. I said, I took up the challenge, worked several months on that and put up a nice presentation. And finally, I did do a recce of the island and that beautiful, beautiful location. You know, you can imagine blue seas and white sands and small country, small population. And the day I landed, it's not easy for an Indian to reach all the way there. When there were other, like Miami is not even 2 hours away from there, but my client, then they decide to hire someone all the way from India, to the other end of the planet to do a project in another remote location. So, I'm thankful to him that he allowed me to do that. We became good friends later on. But anyway, so reaching there for an Indian from Bombay is not very easy. So take 3 flights to reach there, and finally when I landed there, the last flight was from St. Martin to St. Kitts. St. Martin's it's one of the biggest islands, the most populated island there. The aircrafts that connect these islands are very small. They're more like our BEST buses on wheels, with wings. And even the seats look like BEST buses, those little frame metal tubes, and it's not like the aircraft seats that you're used to. It's really basic. Even the sides of the aircraft are metal. It's not got that plastic soft covering and all. They're quite crude. And that's how the airline's called Liat. When I landed, when I was waiting at the conveyor belt, it was very teeny. It is very tiny because the country is so small and the loads they carry are so small that the conveyor belt is perhaps 1/4 the size of our Bombay conveyor belt. And I realized that only like some 5 passengers probably got off there, or 8 or 10, I don't know. And my bag came, but my entire presentation material, which was in a flat portfolio, did not come. And next morning at 10 o'clock is my presentation to the Prime Minister and the cabinet. And I panicked. I immediately called up my client, and then he called up the Prime Minister's office to say that our drawings not arrived. It was there in this aircraft. Then the Prime Minister's office looked it up, called up Liat, and they figured out that the drawings were left behind in the back of the aircraft in the fuselage storage part. Because it was a flexible material, my folder, it taken the shape of the fuselage of the aircraft. The storage space is also black, and so was my portfolio. So it merged into that space, and it stuck to the body, and they had not removed it. And they say it's in another country, and that by the time this aircraft comes back, it's going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and my presentation's and we would lose that slot. It was in Antigua. The stuff was lying in Antigua, my presentation material. So I immediately looked up a map as to, where is this country, Antigua, and what's its relationship with where I am. And I realized that it's not that far. So I asked some people around, these boat guys, as to if you were to take a high-speed boat and go there, and how much time would it take? So they told me it'll take around 2.5 hours in a high-speed boat. So I said, okay. So then I told my client, so we organized a high-speed boat in the morning, and that the only boat available there was a small open boat, really small, this like a little larger than a jet ski probably. And that day happens to be a very rough day, I wouldn't call it a full-blown storm, but it was like a mild storm, and the ocean was extremely rough that day. I woke up very early in the morning, calculated, and we told those Liat people that please wait at the docks, at the jetty, with the drawing, so that there's no time to enter the country. I don't even have a visa to enter the country. So while I'm in the water, My plan was to tell the crew member to throw my presentation, and then I would pick up the stuff and come. I took the small boat. I took the risk. It was a calculated risk. Like as we were going, jumping through the, how it is, right? When the ocean is rough and you're on a small boat, you're like splashing through the water, and every time you hit a big wave, the water all comes onto you. So I was completely wet with salt water. Reached that place, reached that country. There were two crew girls across, who had that folder. They were very sweet, and so I literally threw it. I'm waiting down. I collected my big, portfolio, turned around, and came back. I managed it through. I reached 15 minutes before the presentation. I landed at the docks, got into a small car that was waiting, went to the presentation, reached there like 1 minute before the slot, presented, completely wet, soaked in salt water, Prime Minister loved the presentation. While I was wet, he still, gave me a tight hug, please come build, our country as well for us. And yeah, we built it in the remote location. It's like a 45,000 square feet, not like big airport like ours, but it's more like a resort. Doesn't feel like an airport, we built it in two years in that remote location, and it's been so successful, that place, for the country as well as my clients. Like it's the best private jet terminal in the entire Caribbean. So all the rich and famous from the US, when they come, or from Europe, when they want to party in the winter months, they come here in their private jets, and this is the most attractive location to land in. So like our first customers was, like Steven Spielberg and family. There was Jay-Z and Beyonce who came, a few days later. There was Ibrahimovic, that big Russian tycoon, or Paul Allen, or like really, really like big guys, from the West who basically people who own their own aircrafts would landed there. And yeah, so the process was as to how I took up the challenge. And
my goodness.